Here we go in three, two, one.
Oh yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. You know the drill. Depending when we drop this, depending when you're listening, depending where you are. I'm Josh. Last name Jackal. It's my bro Caleb. He's the producer. This is This Week in Sports, and this edition, obviously, we're gonna be talking Jays. I'm watching the game right now against the Twins. We're down 3-0, but I think it's only in the fourth inning, so we still got some game to catch up. We're also going to be talking a little bit of Oilers. They got the season coming up in 20 days. But I just came back from a trip to BC where I played a bit of sports, staying on theme. It was a little vacay that I needed because I've been working so much. Went to Vancouver with my sister, her girlfriend, and my buddy Andrew. And the destination was Vancouver. We were going to do it in a couple days on the way there, but we ran into some car troubles on the way to Van the first day. Thank God this was like right before we hit up the mountains because it was a power steering problem. Needed to get a new power steering pump, but it was kind of a blessing in disguise because I was able to go golfing in Canmore the following morning because we had to spend the night in Canmore. The shop that we were getting it fixed at closes at 5, and there was time constraints on that first day, so we had to stay the night in Canmore. Went golfing, first time golfing in the mountains. Absolutely beautiful. I think it's such a gorgeous setting. Something I've always wanted to do. It's something that everyone should do, even if you're not an avid golfer. It's just the location and the setting is second to none. And it was my first time golfing in a couple weeks, and the rust it really did show. Wasn't even using my clubs. I had to rent some clubs because I didn't bring my clubs. So I was using these other clubs that, like I'm a taller guy, so it was a little bit shorter for me. But even if I had the right clubs, I don't know if the first couple holes would have went any better than they did. I lost I don't know, four balls in the first like 2 or 3 holes, and I only had like a couple packs of like 3, and I was like, oh shit, this is gonna suck if I'm gonna have to start looking for balls everywhere. Luckily, I was able to find this little pile of them that someone left behind. Grabbed a few there, but after I picked up the balls, of course, I didn't really need many because I got back in the mode, and I was golfing by myself. It was early in the morning. Shit, it was cold when I first went. It was like 9:30, 9:40. I think my tee time was, and they had to postpone it by half an hour because of frost. It was that cold, and we camped that night in Canmore. We were freezing our asses off.
You camped.
We camped, yeah, because uh, the reason why we were freezing our ass off, not only because it was like it was like -1 or -2, it was because we weren't able to grab all our gear from the ride because we had to leave the ride over at the place overnight and
Right.
just grab what we could, which was the tent and just a few blankets and not even all our clothes.
Like what you could carry,
Yeah, well,
basically.
basically what we could carry. And so it was freezing that night. It was freezing in the morning going to golf when I first started. It was like delayed by half an hour. But it started to warm up a little bit as the morning went on. And as I started to warm up, and I started catching up to this group of 4 that was in front of me, this group of 4 guys. I kept like pushing them like right on their ass because it was obviously there's 4 of them. It's going to take longer than one individual. So I think it was like the fourth or fifth hole. I get right up to them and they're like, "Yo, you want to pass right now? I'll let you play through the hole." I'm like, "Sure, why not? I don't want to
It's like
make you guys feel rushed."
the grocery line.
Exactly right. And there was a group of 4 behind me too, but I was kind of keeping kind of ahead of them. They were a lot better than the group behind me. But on the hole that these guys passed me, they're all watching me play, right? And like the pressure's on, all eyes on me. These guys seem like a little bit more professional than like a little bit better at golf than I am. And I take my first shot right in the tee box. They're all watching. Get it just left of the green. It's a par 3. Get it just left of the green. It's like, oh shit. They're like, nice shot, nice shot. I'm like, thanks. So I go up to the next shot, go up to my ball, and they're all letting me shoot first, right? Because they want me to play through. And I'm like, oh shit, I can't fuck this up. All these guys watching, right? So I do a little chip, lands right on the green, about I don't know, 8 feet, 8 to 10 feet from the pin. Like, oh, they're all like, oh, nice shot, right? I'm like, thanks. And then so I go up to do my putt. It's a par three, like I said, right? My putt for par, about 8 feet out. Take my time. Just tap it in. Happy Gilmore style, right? Just tap it in. Just give it a little tap. Just tap it in. Tap it. Going. Just misses by like an inch. And like it ends up like, I don't know, 5 inches from the hole. And I'm like, oh, it was that close to par. And I didn't pull a Happy Gilmore and like get down and yell at the ball like, why don't you go home? You're too good for your home. I didn't go that far, but I was like, fuck, just like that would have been sick. But the fact that I was able to play clutch with everyone watching me, obviously I was able to tap that bogey putt in. But with the fact that everyone was watching me and I was able to do some good shots, I was really proud of myself. That was like one of the highlights of the round. I only shot 9 holes, but another highlight of it was the last hole, and it was probably my best drive of the entire day. There's on this last hole it was the 18th hole, but my 9th hole because I played the back 9. You come around, go into the tee box, you come around this bend, past these trees, and it's on top of like way on top of the fucking mountain, and you see this magnificent view of the mountain range all around you, and it's like just breathtaking. And this hole goes down like a pretty steep hill down to the left. It's like a par 4, I believe, and like straight ahead, they have a target set up in the trees, like on a tree, and just like that target right there, and they have it set up on a tree. It's probably like 250 yards out.
Yeah.
I aim right for the fucking target. I go just left of the target and roll down the hill where the hole is. Right. I don't really see it. I see where it kind of went. Like, it almost went as far as the people ahead of me. These other people there, and I wasn't sure because I couldn't see. It was like really like a really steep hill, right? But I could tell it was a good shot. And I go down there and I go to my ball, and the other group of 3 or whatever are already on the green, and they're yelling at me like, nice shot, nice shot. I'm like, thanks. And I could have got it on the green if I didn't suck so bad. I ended up, my second shot was not nearly as good. I got it in the water, but after my water hazard, I was able to chip it onto the green, and then I got a bogey on that last hole, or maybe it was a double bogey. But I had some really good shots. Like the short game, the minus the water hazard, I was really proud of that last hole, and the fact that I wasn't using my clubs, and the fact that it was my first time golfing, a couple weeks, and I was just so blown away by the scenery, and I would recommend it to anyone. I think it was called Silvertip Golf Course in Canmore. If you ever find yourself in Canmore, check it out because it's the most beautiful course I've ever been to. And next time I go through there, I'm gonna hit it up again because I had a good time. And I only played half the hole, so I want to see the rest of the course. Then we got the car fixed. Made our destination after we got the car fixed was to go to Kelowna, but I was so tired. By the time we got to Revelstoke, we just crashed there. Went to Kelowna the next day where we played a little bit of ball. Played some 21. Normally that wouldn't be worth mentioning, but it is a sports podcast, so keep it on theme. My girlfriend, or my sister's girlfriend, Normie, she schooled us in 21 in the second game we played. It was ridiculous. First game, I think Naomi won. It was weird, but the second game, Normie killed it. And like my basketball game is so inconsistent where like I'll have like a crazy good game of 21, like I'll just sink everything, and then like we'll fucking stop for a minute to have a beer or whatever, and freaking it would just go to shit. Like it's no other sport do I play that I'm so inconsistent. Like even in my inconsistency in golf, there's more consistency in my play in that than there is in basketball. Basketball is just all over the fucking map. So we did that. Had a good time in Kelowna. we got an Airbnb there. Oh, this was actually no. I think I got it mixed up. We stopped at like 10 different places. Um, Made it to Vancouver. I think it was Kelowna on the way back. Um, I hit when we went to Revelstoke. I don't know. I can't remember if I told you or not, Caleb. We freaking hit up that rail car. That shit was intense, man. That was so much fun. That I also recommend to anyone going through Revelstoke. Go check out the rail car. It's fucking intense. You go down the hill and all you have is a brake, and you're like on this little tiny car that's like attached to this like rail, and you go down the mountain, and I guess you reach speeds up to like 40 kilometers an hour.
Wow.
Get whipped around it's fucking intense.
How long
So
is
much fun.
How long is the whole ride?
It's like I don't even know, like a minute or so. But it's yeah, you take a gondola up to the top of it,
Nice.
and actually it's only like halfway up because then you can take the gondola even higher, and like there's a restaurant up there, which we want to check out next time. But that was fun as shit. And all in all, it was a fucking great trip. It was a good well needed break from work. Like I said, I was glad I was able to go golfing and do some clutch shots when people were watching, especially from someone that doesn't golf as often as I would like. But it was a good time. Oh yeah, the last night we were camping in Golden, and we were playing Cards Against Humanity in the tent, and it was late. It was like freaking like I don't know, past midnight, maybe 1 o'clock in the morning or something, maybe two. And we're just drinking, having a good time. I think we have the tunes on. We're just playing in the tent, and Cards Against Humanity. You know how fucking hilarious that game is. So we're like howling, and just freaking, busting guts, having a fucking ball of a time. And then I can't remember what the card was, but or what the blanks were of the card. But I remember the card that one of them bring where it was the Schmegma card. So we were laughing at Schmegma, like talking about Schmegma, like for like I don't know however long, and we're just laughing our ass off. And as we're talking about it, as we're like mentioning the card, this lady, we hear this voice outside the tent. They're like, "Hey, excuse me, can you keep it down? No one can sleep here." Yeah, because it was like you gotta imagine it's in the mountains. There's no sound anywhere except us
Yeah.
playing Cards Against Humanity, laughing our asses off, talking about fucking Schmegma.
What time of the night?
That had to have been like 2 a.m. or something. This lady comes up, she's like, "Yeah, no one can sleep." Like, oh fuck, sorry. Like, as she talking to like as like whoever's like apologizing, me and Naomi are like trying to like not like we're like trying to hold her laughing, like right, like trying our hardest to not laugh laugh our ass off really loudly. And it was just the most ridiculous thing. We're like, okay, well now we'll play one more round or whatever, and we'll shut her down, right? Well, we like one more card, and we're gonna shut her down. Like we were gonna play like a couple more rounds, and because it's such a fun game, right? But we're like at that point, we're like, okay, we gotta fucking keep it chill because everybody can hear us in this fucking campground. It wasn't like busy or anything, but we thought we camped far enough from anyone else that that wouldn't be an issue. But like I said, there's no other sound going on, especially somewhere so secluded. So I can't say I'm surprised that someone came through and told us to shut the fuck up. But yeah, that was the last night. That was fucking hilarious. Such a good time. But during this time, I was obviously keeping up with the Jays. I think the last time I checked in on This Week in Sports, the Jays were on they were on their 17-2 run. They were in the midst of that. Since then, we're 4-5. So that's why we've opened the door for the Yankees to catch up. The Red Sox have passed them. So we're currently sitting a game behind the Yankees for the second wild card spot. The Yankees are playing right now. They're playing the Red Sox right now, so we can gain ground on one of them if we freaking win a game. We lost yesterday against the Twins. We're losing right now against the Twins. It's the bottom of the fifth. Jose Barrios playing his former team for the first time in Minnesota. He's he was playing pretty well. I'm watching this game, and the only things he given up was like a walk, and it was in the third inning, a walk, a triple, and a home run, and just like that, they're up by 3. But other than that, I think he's got 10, 8 strikeouts and like 11 outs. So he's tearing it up. But our bats got to get going, like right now, like right this fucking instant, because I think the Yankees are winning against Boston. So if that takes place, we'll fall back 2 games back of the Yankees to the final playoff spot, and we have 8 games remaining. So we got to find a way to pull out this game and win the next 2 here in Minnesota, because we got a huge series coming up against the Yankees when the Jays return to Toronto for the final homestand. And it was just reported today that the Blue Jays got approval from the Ontario government to expand the capacity of which they could have fans attending their games from 15,000 to 30,000, which is huge news. That will begin against the Yankees on the final homestand for the Jays, and hopefully, I pray that we make the playoffs and that continue, and that we can have a good run in the playoffs, and the fans can witness that firsthand. Because my first ever baseball game was a playoff game in Toronto. It was in 2016, and it was the game that ended in the extra innings with the Donaldson dash. Advanced the Blue Jays to the ALCS for the second time in 2 years, and still to this day, the biggest sporting event I've ever been to. It was like over 50,000 people in that place. Roof was closed. I felt like a little kid. I was cheering so hard, jumping around. By the end of it, I was exhausted. Something I'll never forget till the day I die. It was an amazing, amazing experience. I'm sure I'll talk about it more if and when the Jays make the playoffs again here. It was just incredible. And the fact that it was my first fucking MLB game is, when it comes to doing things and doing things for the first time, I do it big. First time in a plane, I jumped out of it. First time outside of the country, I went to Australia by myself. That was also the first time I ever swam in the ocean, was when I was in Australia, and there was a shark warning during that day on the beach. They got everyone out of the fucking water because a shark was spotted. Second time ever swimming in the ocean was in the Great Barrier Reef when I went scuba diving on that same trip. I also seen a shark on one of my dives. But yeah, when it comes to fucking doing shit for the first time, I go all out, and I mean, you only live once, so people got to experience life to the fullest, I feel, anyway. So yeah, the Jays are getting 30,000 fans approved. There's some news in the NHL as far as the fans that are allowed in Canadian cities. I think Edmonton, Calgary, Winnipeg are allowed full capacity. Toronto and Ottawa, I think they're only allowed half capacity to start the season. Montreal and Vancouver also have restrictions on the amount of fans in the building. Oh, my boy. My former boy, Donaldson, got struck out for the 3rd time by Barrios in tonight's game. Barrios is on fire. Actually, I seen Barrios in his first start as a J when I went to Toronto last month. That's when we first acquired him, and I seen him pitch for the first time as a Blue Jay, and he fucking went off. He had an amazing, amazing game. I think that was the game where we shut out the Royals, and ever since then he's been like really, really solid for us. But back to hockey. I'm kind of jumping all over the place. Weather start in 20 days. Super excited. Going to have Cam Moon on the Oilers play-by-play and have him. We're hoping before the season, but he's busy now with the preseason and whatnot. But I'm gonna try to find some time, get him on, get his insight on what he thinks the Oilers' potential is this year, and because I think we got a good chance. Our additions outweigh our losses this offseason. Sure, we lost Jackos, Bear, lost a couple other pieces in Larson, and but our additions, I think, outweigh the players that we lost. We'll be talking obviously more Oilers in the coming weeks, obviously, as the countdown to puck drop is on. Less than 3 weeks. Fucking stoked. Especially after being swept by the Jets so quickly in the spring. It's freaking hard pill to swallow and hard to get over, but nothing makes it there's nothing that makes it easier than getting back in the action and starting to play again, and I'm sure all the players would say the same thing. So, go Oil. Our first preseason game is on Sunday against the Flames. Then we play Seattle Kraken, brand new, the NHL's most new franchise. They just had their expansion draft a couple months ago. Like I said, we lost Larson, and that's expansion draft. I hope Seattle is not as good as Vegas has been, because that's completely unfucking fair. Bullshit that they just come in the league and they've been in the playoffs every year and they go deep in the playoffs. It's so not fair. Every other expansion franchise, not only in hockey, but in all the North American sports, when you get a brand new franchise in your league, they're not supposed to be amazing right off the bat. It takes some time to build that winning formula. But you got to give credit to the Vegas management in that inaugural season for making a lot of moves that I guess the NHL has outlawed for the Kraken to do, as far as like trades and manipulating the entry draft, like trading picks and whatnot. They've made it a little more difficult in Seattle. And the thing is, like, Seattle's going to be in our division too, so we're going to be seeing them a lot. Them and Vegas, the two newest teams in the league, we're going to be in the same division, which is kind of ironic. Yeah, Vancouver, Montreal. Oh yes, other NHL news. Evgeny Malkin is out 2 months to start the season at least. So that's big news if you're a Pens fan. I know there's a lot of Pens fans that jump on that wagon because they're such a good team and Crosby and whatnot, but they're going to be without Malkin for the start of the year, so that might be a big blow to them. Oh yes, and then this Evander Kane fellow. So Evander Kane, he plays for San Jose, and to put it mildly, this guy's a gambling problem. I read over a year ago that a casino in Vegas was going after him, possibly suing him for an unpilled tab that he had at one of the casinos there in Vegas.
Wow.
Yeah, it was like 6 figures.
Oh wow.
Yeah, and then shortly after that news, some more news broke regarding Kane. He filed for bankruptcy. An NHL player filing for bankruptcy.
What team is he on?
He's on San Jose now. He played for a few teams. At one point, he was like, I really liked him. I liked him as a player. He's fast. He's quick. He has a physical side to him. I like the way he looked on the ice in the games that I watched of his. But off the ice, this guy goes hard. But I guess the NHL kind of said is enough, and put their foot down.
When did that come out?
That was a couple days ago. He will not be attending the Sharks training camp. He's not there. So, yeah, there's like an investigation going on. Yes! Fuck yeah!
Nice.
Marcus Semien with a solo home run finally got us on the fucking board. Yeah! Top of 6. Marcus Semien with a 1-out solo home run.
Breathing some life into this game.
Yeah. But yeah, Marcus Semien with his 42nd home run of the year. We're watching this game live here, and he's having a historic season for a middle infielder, especially for the Jays. Like, this is an unreal year that he's having. And if Vladimir Guerrero Jr. and Shohei Ohtani weren't having the seasons that they are, Marcus Semien would be in contention for the MVP this year. He's having that good of a year. So the fact that we got 2 of the top 3 MVP candidates on our team, it says a lot. And I mean, it sounds good too. It's like it all points to a postseason berth. So let's hope we can build on this one run that Marcus Semien just scored with a solo shot and take it to these Twins. And on this week in sports history, something I mentioned a couple weeks ago that I wanted to do kind of a little segment on it. But yeah, on this particular week, sports history, September 23rd, 20 days after my birth, Manon, I don't want to mispronounce her name. It's a French name. Manon Rhéaume becomes the first woman to ever play in any of the 4 North American sports when she suited up as a goaltender for the Tampa Bay Lightning in 1992. She was in a preseason game against the Blues, and historic. Obviously it was a bit of a publicity stunt, I'm sure, for the Lightning, which were a pretty new team in the league, brand new team in the league, and obviously when you think of Tampa, you don't really think of hockey. Well, I mean, the last couple of seasons you have because of the champions, back-to-back champions, but back in the early 90s, hockey was probably the furthest thing from anyone's brain in Florida.
They were what, brand new?
Yeah, they were. So they needed to obviously attract some new fans to the game of hockey, and the first lady to ever play in a man's sport here in North America took place. So shout out.
First and only since?
Yeah.
Man, how was she?
Well, now she's had a pretty good career in her own right. She was an Olympic silver medalist. I think she's doing broadcasting now or something of the sort. But pretty historic day for her. And then, what was that? 9 years later, exactly 9 years later, the game of football in the States changed. This young buck named Tom Brady takes over for Drew Bledsoe after he got knocked out of a game. And Tom Brady, he hasn't looked back since. He's only won 7 titles. He's only been an MVP multiple times. He's only the reigning Super Bowl champion quarterback at, I think he's like 44 years old or something ridiculous. Guy's had a legendary career. He's going to go down as the best, if not one of the best. He's just, enough can't be said about him. And I actually seen an interview of his recently where he said he'd be down to play till he's 50. And the craziest part is he probably could. Guy's a maniac. The fact that he can go to like a new team after the Patriots, go to this new team, new environment, and then win a championship in the first year that he's been there. Fuck, no one can fuck with that. But that was 20 years ago that the legend began. That has been, oh yeah, I think episode 11 or something. I want to change the way we number them. I want them doing like the Super Bowl where we do it Roman numerals.
Roman numerals.
Roman numerals, bro. No one does that. No one does that.
You're gonna run out of space real soon.
No, because you could do hundreds with different letters, right? And it's a nice little touch, cool little touch.
We'll talk about it. We got the talent here trying to tell us how to do the behind the scenes.
Yeah. And but yeah, that was. Oh yeah, one more note before I take off. I just wanted to mention the Blue Jays manager. One more note on the Blue Jays manager. Montoya got suspended a game. That was last game that he served a suspension. And Ryan Borucki got suspended 3 games. This came after an incident in Tampa Bay, their last series, where there's actually some weird shit that happened. There was a collision at the plate, and Alejandro Kirk, our catcher, lost his little cheat sheet with ways to all catchers have this little thing on their arm where it tells them how to pitch certain batters and which sequences is assigned to use when there's a runner at second. That fell off his arm at a collision at home plate with Kevin Kiermaier. Kiermaier sees it, picks it up, and takes it back to the dugout. And then the Jays requested it back, and the Rays told them to go fuck themselves. So the following game, Ryan Borucki, it might have been the same game. I apologize. I was in BC, so I missed these actual games, but I seen all the highlights. But it was a 7-1 score for the Rays. So the game was out of hand. It was already, it was kind of already over. So late in the game, our pitcher, Ryan Borucki, throws at Kevin Kiermaier, the guy who picked up the cheat sheet and then he'll give it back. Threw at him, hit him. The dugout's cleared. The bench is cleared.
Oh, man.
Some beef was happening. Borucki gets thrown out by the umps. Pete Walker, our pitching coach, who I met in Seattle, coincidentally, got to throw that in there, came out steaming, like fucking swearing at the umps, just going off. Charlie Montoya, our manager, had to like stop him. He was steaming because obviously he didn't want his pitcher getting thrown out, and I guess it wasn't intentional, but I mean you could see how the Rays thought it could be intentional, and after the game, Kiermaier said he wants to face the Jays in the playoffs, and there's a possibility that if we get in a wild card game and we win the wild card game, we would be facing the Rays. So that would be the team we'd be facing if we get into the wild card game and we win the wild card game. So that would be intense. That throws a little more spice on the sauce. I know that's not a saying, but I just made it up.
No, that's the same for sure.
A little spice on the sauce. No, but so yeah, Montoya got suspended 1 game because the manager usually gets suspended in those incidents, and Borucki got suspended 3 games. He appealed it, and it got reduced to 2. So he's going to be serving that starting this game, and then tomorrow's game, and then he'll be back for the series against the Yankees, which is huge because we need all the help we can get. So I just wanted to throw that in there. I was going to mention that earlier, but there was a lot of other stuff going on in the Blue Jays world. But thanks for listening to episode XI, I think it is, of This Week in Sports. And go Jays, go. Hopefully next time I check in on y'all, we are in the playoff spot once again. Until then, adios.